So the next thing I want to do is build a probe and send it out there to probe Duna. So I think that would be a really cool mission, and it will set the stage for a manned mission to Duna. So this is one of the remote probes. This is another one. And these ones are robot controlled, so basically you control them, but there's no Kerbals aboard. So you're not risking anybody's life to do that. So we'll put a few antennas on, because this one we're going to be transmitting all the science. A probe, you can recover it, but typically that's not what you do with a probe. So I'll put this together. We want some solar panels, so we'll put solar panels all around, and then we'll need propulsion. Now I don't have the nuclear engines unlocked just yet, but I'm going to use one of these great big tanks here, because I'm going to stack a lot of fuel and stuff on it. So for science, we can take a few of these, because we might get near Ike and be able to get a goo report from Ike. We're going to go out into the solar orbit so we can get some solar data, and so we'll just try and get as much data as we can. The barometer, I don't know if we're going to get much data from that. The thermometer we probably could. Where's it at? I don't want 6 of them though. We can put the thermometer right there, and yeah, let's do this. We will put a decoupler. Where is it? Structural. We'll put a sepratron on the bottom so that we can separate this, and we can put a little parachute on the top, and maybe we can land it on Duna and take some readings. So then I'll get that, where is it? This side. So I'll get some atmospheric data from landing our probe on Duna. So let me rotate this to there, and I'll rotate this to there, and then I'll select the tiny little landing struts. How do they go on there? Oh, they're a good size, aren't they? I have solar panels. I don't have any batteries. I can do this, probably. There we go. And I can put my antennas. Put my antennas on here and angle them up so they look cool. And I can put my thermometer on the battery. And I wonder if this will go on the battery. There we go. And right there. And we have our Duna probe, which is it's on that Sepratron. So what do we have structural that we could use? That's a little big. That one's way big. That looks kind of large as well. Is there anything smaller? Not really. But that could work. So I'm going to leave all the mystery goos on there. And we're going to want a pretty fuel efficient motor. This one, it's 390 ISP in a vacuum. That one's 370. That one's too big. Jet engine won't work. That's 350. It doesn't have much thrust, but we don't have a whole lot of weight. So I have antennas, I have power, I can put some extra batteries. Oh yeah, because it uses a lot of power to transmit. Did I put batteries on this? I didn't. Oh, I did. I put that. And that has 200 charge. That has 100. There, that's more probe looking. Those are pretty light. So that should work as our deep space probe. These are less weight, so I'll put 4 of those on. And then that should work as a probe. So I'll call this simply the Duna probe. Mark 1. Because, yeah. So I'll build the launcher for this and launch it into orbit. And I'll bring you back in when we get into orbit. Okay, so here is my probe rocket. It's kind of a different design than I normally do, so I'm not even sure if it's going to work. But let's go to launch, and if launch goes all right, I'll speed up when we get into orbit, and then we'll go for our Duna encounter. So yeah, look at that acceleration there. So I could probably throttle down a little bit, conserve some of that fuel, make the boosters do most of the work. The boosters will last, I think it's 47 seconds. So no Kerbals, but still able to control it. So we're ready to drop our boosters in just a few more seconds. And we're on our way. So I left the lights in. Looks kind of funky do now, but that should be all right. And hopefully this rocket is enough to get us into orbit. Much less an encounter with Duna. So I'm going to rotate and throttle up. So we're out of the thicker part of the atmosphere. Really try and get all the speed that I can right now. Apoapsis about 30,000 meters. And yeah, I might have to redesign this. Maybe we can get a lunar encounter that'll give us a slingshot. So I'm going to coast to my apoapsis. So much smaller, much lighter rocket. It's easier to go a lot faster. So if this one doesn't work, I should be able to put a bigger launcher on it and get it to go. I don't know why it's bouncing like that. A little bit of wobble there. So let's speed up just a little bit. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, we're kind of bleeding speed off too. But we should be able to get into orbit. I hope. I'm already using my interplanetary stuff to my interplanetary stage, although this is quite fuel efficient. So it looks like we're going to get into an orbit. And where does that put us in the map? Where's Duna? So we'll get into orbit. I hope. Let's see if we can bring that apoapsis back a little bit. As we're starting to drop. Though we're still accelerating pretty good, as long as we don't drop too low or run out of fuel. Perhaps I should have redesigned my rocket here. Here we go. So how are we doing? We're still really good with fuel, as far as I can tell. And we have our orbit. So now we're going to zoom out, and I don't know how fast we can time warp. 50 is not quite enough because this is, I think we have to be at almost a 45-degree angle to swoop up, so we're actually really close. So let's do this. Let's switch to our space station at a higher orbit. We really fast. All our little fellers are still real happy. Where'd it go? Oh, there's sometimes a glitch where it's way zoomed out and it won't zoom in. You just toggle the map button and it'll come back. So we'll zoom out. See where we're at. That's our target there. So we'll time warp really fast. Until we're pretty much 45 degrees. That's pretty close, more or less. So then we'll go to our map view, zoom in, and set our Arduino probe as our, we'll switch to it. And I'll probably time accelerate a lot of these burns. So now I need to know my ejection angle, which is probably right here, so that we can expand our orbit. Well, if we get ahead of the planet though, sometimes you can get caught in its gravitational pull. But I'm going to do it anyway, and we're actually just about there, aren't we? Yes, we are. So we are going to spin around and throttle up. And now I'm going to physics warp. And we might get some help from the moon. So I'm going to slow down the time acceleration there. Slow down the throttle. We were hitting minimus on the return orbit. Oh no, that was the moon on the return orbit. So we need to get far enough that we're out of minimus's sphere of influence. So slowly accelerating, but it just keeps going up like crazy. You can see my throttle is barely up. We just got to escape. And there's our escape. So we'll zoom out. And I don't know. I know how to get into a solar escape or a Kerbal escape. If I keep accelerating, you can see just it's like exponential. It just right on the opposite end. We can see if we can get an encounter. So let's set Duna as our target, and our ascending node isn't off too much, so we're just doing some little bit more acceleration. We might have to do a mid-course correction, and I totally missed. Maybe. We're getting closer, aren't we? Or are we getting further away? So I should have used the there's a app and a website that you can use that'll give you escape velocities and stuff like that, escape angles. and other stuff. But let's time accelerate this. Go back here as we say goodbye to Kerbin, the moon, and Minmus as we go on our time warp. Take a picture of that right there. You can see how slow we're going relative to our orbit. So we'll zing way out here right before we leave. That's how small Kerbin looks. Minmus is somewhere out here. But let's see. We'll do a little bit more time acceleration. And let's look at our first mystery goo. So, and we'll transmit that data. So there goes the antenna. And we got 3 science from that mission, from that data. So our solar panels are doing good. We'll go back, and now we're in Kerbin escape. We have escaped Kerbin's sphere of influence. So I wonder if it was supposed to be, that wasn't 45 degrees, that was 90 degrees. Oh, I need a protractor, or just need to pay attention. So, well, it might be a while before we get to Duna with this probe. So, but now that we're at a Kerbin sphere of influence, let's observe another mystery goo canister high over the sun, and that'll get us 33 science. We can also do can't do a temperature scan, we can't do an atmospheric scan. So, yep, that was me. Should have waited quite a bit longer. So millions and millions of dollars spent on this probe, and we launched at the wrong time. So our only hope is to do a mid-course correction. Let's see if this will work here. I'll put a maneuver node and see what happens if I accelerate in the middle here. Those get anywhere close to Duna. Ooh, we have an encounter. Quite far away. And it's going to push us out towards Dres. But let's do that. So, as the years pass, sometimes they launch spacecraft that go into a hibernation mode for quite a long time before they bring them back. I think the Juno spacecraft was like that. They launched it a few years ago and then just recently woke it up. So when we reach this maneuver, I'll do a burn and I'll bring you back in. Well, that didn't work because I'm still quite far away from Duna, and it's not likely I'm going to have another chance at an encounter. So I'm thinking my Duna probe is a bust. I'm almost out of fuel. If we look at some more mystery goo, it'll only give us 3 science if we transmit. And we can't do temperature, atmospheric scan. So, this was a failed mission. So in the next episode, let's relaunch the what I call this, the Duna Lander Mark 1. We'll launch the Duna Lander Mark 2, and this time I'll burn at the right time. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks again for watching. Bye.